Oh man, every time I cover Metal Gear, I get this like rush of nostalgia because so much of my YouTube career was built off of Metal Gear content that I used to make when Metal Gear was in its prime. But, there are mixed feelings because the Kojima Konami stuff went down and now Metal Gear will never be the same again. But I do feel like one potential course that Konami could take is outsourcing their IPs to either make new titles or, in the case of Metal Gear, given how singularly Kojima, the voice of Metal Gear, is, and I don't feel like sequels would do that justice, they should go for Metal Gear remakes, and there are plenty of rumors surrounding that right now, and I have some updates on that front. I feel like we're getting to a point where an announcement for the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake could be imminent. Maybe sometime this year, at the latest, maybe next year. Apparently, PlayStation is essentially set to publish the game, and they've worked out some kind of exclusivity deal with Konami, so if it is going to be announced, it is going to be at a PlayStation showcase. So let's dive right into the story. Here's the source of this particular information. The Xbox Era podcast published the following episode a day ago, and this is the bit where they discuss rumors surrounding Metal Gear, and there's a tweet by IdleSloth that summarizes what was stated. Here's how this May 7th, 2023 post reads. Rumor, according to Special Nick, Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake might be at an upcoming PlayStation showcase and will have some sort of exclusivity attached to it. His source said he thinks, though, and is not 100% sure. So that sounds kind of shaky, right? Except we're starting to see corroboration from other sources as well, and once the stars start aligning in that way, that usually tends to mean that there's enough activity happening behind the scenes where a lot of people behind the scenes are finding out about this stuff, and one or two, a few are spreading the word to media outlets. Among those who's heard similar things is Jez from Windows Central, who retweeted IdleSloth and then posted his own commentary on this with heard similar about Metal Gear exclusivity for PlayStation, by the way. From there on, Jez began to answer some questions, including this one right here. Is this what Bluepoint is working on? The general rumor and speculation out there is that Bluepoint might be working on a Metal Gear Solid remake or a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake. Jez responded with, not sure on that, just heard Sony landed a deal with Konami for Silent Hill, Metal Gear, and maybe even a new Castlevania. And similar rumors have been reported in the past where it was stated that PlayStation is working behind the scenes to try to seal some kind of deal with Konami so that major IPs that have remained dormant for so long, like Metal Gear, Silent Hill, and Castlevania, can come to PlayStation at least first. I don't know if it would be a timed exclusivity or a permanent exclusivity. But either way, Konami's definitely making some major moves when it comes to their major treasure trove of IPs. They're trying to kickstart their AAA game development stuff again. And this time they're focused on outsourcing because they're in-house developed projects like Metal Gear Survive and the Contra Row Core releases have been so disastrous. Further corroboration is given to these Metal Gear Solid 3 remake rumors by this tweet from Andy Robinson from Video Games Chronicle, published about a month and a half ago back in March 28th, 2023, when somebody asked if he knows if Konami will be holding an event at E3, will announce Silent Hill or something along those lines. Andy Robinson responded with, Metal Gear Solid 3 Remake is now a 2024 title, and there's still talk of Metal Gear Solid re-releases of some kind, remasters of some sort that will run on modern hardware, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, and I mean, if they can get it running on Switch, which shouldn't be a problem, that'd be great too. E3 window was their marketing plan last I heard. Now we know that E3 has been canceled, and so Konami's going to have to look for another outlet to announce this stuff if their intention is still to announce a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake and Metal Gear Solid re-releases of some kind during summer, this big period where a lot of major announcements happen. And I want to note that all of this aligns with rumors that began as far back as 2021. Andy Robinson himself reported on this story, whose headline reads, Konami is set to revive Metal Gear, Castlevania, and Silent Hill. And we know this is now partially true because Silent Hill has in fact been revived and multiple games have been announced, developed by multiple studios, which is exactly what this Video Games Chronicle article reported. Multiple Silent Hill games are currently in development at various external development studios, as per an earlier Video Games Chronicle report from February. So the fact that this turned out to be true lends credence to other aspects of his story, including what may potentially be going on with Metal Gear, with Andy Robinson reporting here that there's been much speculation that Demon's Souls remake studio Bluepoint could be working on a remake of Metal Gear Solid. However, Video Games Chronicle was told the series is actually being worked on by an external studio, Virtuos. Recently, Virtuos worked on the Switch ports of Dark Souls Remastered, The Outer Worlds, and the Bioshock Collection, as well as contributing art and content to blockbusters such as Battlefield 1, Uncharted 4, and Horizon Zero Dawn. And then scrolling further down, there's information on what Andy Robinson had heard about this Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater remake back in October of 2021. The new project is currently in early development, and multiple sources suggested it would be centered around fan-favorite entry Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater rather than the original Metal Gear Solid. So that's Konami's big push for Metal Gear, though apparently at the same time, this company Virtuos might be developing a remake of Metal Gear Solid, so we might be seeing this parallel remake situation, or at the very least, one will be announced before another, but they're both in development at the same time. I get the sense that the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake is going to be pushed out first, since that's the one we're hearing most about in this year of 2023. For a while, there's been a debate as to whether the remake that's being prioritized is that of Metal Gear Solid 3 or Metal Gear Solid 1. It seems likely that Metal Gear Solid 3 will take the spotlight, at least at first, and more and more we're seeing as we progress through this year, Metal Gear Solid 3 remake rumors and sources divulging information to media outlets, all of that stuff coming out and trickling in slowly but surely. And so now we're at a point where it's impossible to deny that I feel like this is definitely happening, and it's happening pretty soon if we're now at a point where we're hearing rumors of a PlayStation showcase featuring the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake reveal or trailer or whatever it is that they'll end up showing with a potential 2024 release date. Now, there's no confirmation currently as to who is developing Metal Gear Solid 3 remake, if it's going to be internally developed at Konami, which would make me more worried, or if it's being outsourced to a studio like Bluepoint to have shown mastery over remakes, or some other studio that will do a good enough job. I'd personally be more confident if this remake was done outside of Konami, if Konami was just outsourcing this to a studio that is passionate about Metal Gear and are able to do this remake justice. But either way, I think this is a better course of action than for Konami to decide to make a Metal Gear Solid 6 and try to follow up on Kojima's legacy and his grand tapestry of storytelling amidst this vast universe that spans so many different games with such a singularly unique Kojima voice. Like, the way he just thinks is so seeped into the Metal Gear series that it's impossible to try to imitate that or replicate that. Metal Gear Solid 6 would just be tonally, I think, very different, and it'd take a lot to be able to follow up what Kojima did in a way that feels seamless. And so, because of the risks that are associated with making just a full-fledged sequel, the courses of action available are either reboot the series, which also comes with its own risks. Like, yes, it's an opportunity to start fresh, but the reboot would have to be on some level as good, if not better, than the original series. And I just don't foresee that happening because Kojima is just so good at making these games, and just that attention to detail and that unique way of creating that is just so identifiable that would get lost in transition. So there are risks like that associated with a reboot. And then on the other hand, you got the remake opportunity to just take what Kojima already did and make it better by modernizing these games that, you know, in many areas have aged because they're pretty old at this point. And so a Metal Gear Solid 3 remake just spruce up the graphics, modernize aspects of the gameplay. We've seen remakes succeed quite well. You know, Dead Space Remake didn't have its original creator, but EA did a fairly good job with that remake, and it's actually one of the best remakes, I think. And Resident Evil 4 Remake turned out really freaking good. As more successful and critically acclaimed remakes come out, I'm given more hope that it's possible to take what Kojima did with Metal Gear Solid 3 and genuinely improve it without touching the essence of what Kojima built here, still retaining the beats that are needed. If this is an endeavor that Konami can succeed in, you know, I would look forward to more remakes and reliving these Metal Gear games that are so special to me in a much more modernized way, both in terms of visuals and gameplay. So I do hope this stuff succeeds. But at the very least, for now, what we know is that there's definitely something cooking behind the scenes when it comes to Metal Gear remakes, especially where Snake Eater is concerned. And Snake Eater being many people's favorites, might include it as an overall package. I think this is a good entry point. Also, it being the earliest in the Metal Gear timeline, it makes sense to start here. I just hope they don't screw it up, because if they screw up Snake Eater, there will be hell to pay. But we'll see what happens. In the meantime, though, let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the potential of a Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater remake, who you hope is developing this game, and whether you think this is an endeavor worth pursuing for Konami. Are you looking forward to it, or are you apprehensive because of just the current history surrounding Metal Gear and Konami? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.